Good morning, students. So today in this session, we'll recall about the concepts which we studied in the previous chapter, that is principles of management. So in the last session, we finished the chapter principles of management. Now today in this session, we'll recall those things which we studied in the previous classes of principles of management. So I told you that principles of management played a very important role in the business organization. Yes, they played a very important role in the business organization by giving certain solutions to the manager in order to cope up with the situations which takes place, or cope up with the problems which takes place in the organization. Like I told you in your previous class, each and every business organization will come across one or the other kind of problems. So in order to reduce those problems, or in order to solve those problems that arise in the business organization, these principles which are found out by different management experts are very useful. So this management experts, or the management theories, or principles which are given by the management experts towards the management, helps as a guideline to reduce the problems. They are not totally the solution, but they act as a guideline to reduce the problem that arise in the business organization. So we have different management principles. So this evolution of management principles is, so under evolution of management managerial principle also, or management principles, you have different concepts. Yes, you have behavioral science approach, you have management science approach, you have modern management, neoclassical theory, so classical management theory, all this. So when coming to your principles of management, not just F.W. Taylor or Henri Fayol who has given the principles towards the management. There are other people who have also given their contribution towards the principles, or principles of management. Okay, so this F.W. Taylor and Henri Fayol are those people who have given their major contribution towards principles of management. So when coming to your textbooks or in your business studies, they have provided the principles of F.W. Taylor as well as principles of Henri Fayol. So these two components, or these two principles, are taken into consideration most of the time while we go through studies. Okay, so we discussed about nature of principles of management. Yeah, we discussed about natures of principles of management. So under that, I told you about universal applicability. So under universal applicability, I told you like the principles of management are universally applicable. They are not just limited to business organization. Yes, okay, so it is applicable, or it can be applied to business as well as non-business organization, small as well as large organization. It may be private or public sector, manufacturing or service sector. So its applicability is universal. It differs from one organization. So even though it is universally applicable, the applicability differs from one organization to another organization on the basis of its nature. Clear? So the next point was general guideline. So general guideline, like I told you, the principles of management is just a general guideline. It is not the solution, ultimate solution for the problem which are available in the organization. So organizationally ಏನು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ಗೂ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಏನು ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅದು ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ಬರೀ ಗೈಡ್ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ರಿಗಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ವಾಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಡನ್ ಟು ರಿಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ದಿ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಅವೈಲೇಬಲ್ in the organization. So they cannot be used as ultimate solution for the problem. They are just a guideline regarding what can be done in the organization. Okay, so the next one was formed by practice and experimentation. So I told you these principles are not brought into practice overnight. Adu all at once ಒಂದೇ ಸಾರಿಗೆ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸಿಗೆ ತಂದಿರೋದಲ್ಲ. Yes, okay, all at once ಒಂದೇ ಸರಿ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸಿಗೆ ತಂದಿರೋದಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ದೀಸ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟೆಡ್ ಆರ್ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್, ದೀಸ್ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ಡ್, ದೇ ಆರ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರಿಮೆಂಟೆಡ್ ಇನ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ಸ್. ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಏನು ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಆ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸನ್ನು ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದರ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗನ್ನು ನೋಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು, ಎಸ್ ಓಕೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ದೀಸ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಪುಟ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್. ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಹಾಕಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಹಾಕಿ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಹೇಗೆ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ಇರೋ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಅಥವಾ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಸರ್ಕಮ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಇರೋ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅದು ಹೇಗೆ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ದೆನ್ ದೇ ಕಮ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ಕನ್ಕ್ಲೂಷನ್ ದಟ್ ದೀಸ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಒನ್ ವಿಚ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್, which can be used in the business organization in order to get certain solution for the problem that may arise in the organization. The next point was flexible. So it is told that principles of management are not rigid. Yes, they are not rigid, they are absolutely flexible. So as they are flexible, they can be modified according to the situation of the business organization. Yes, or according to the requirement of the manager. ಒಂದು ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ದು ಹೇಗೆ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ತಕ್ಕಂತೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೋದು, ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೋದು. ಅಥವಾ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ದು ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಥವಾ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ತಕ್ಕಂತೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಅದನ್ನು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ it depends totally upon how a manager takes the particular situation of the business organization. So it is totally flexible, it is not rigid. Yes, it is not rigid. So the next one is mainly behavioral. So like I told you, the people or the human being who is running the business organization, each and every human being will have its own behaviors. Yes, its own behavior. So the management principles aim at influencing the behavior of human being. Yes, it aims at influencing the behaviors of human being. So human behavior totally differs from one person to another. Yes, okay, so what happens is like the principles of management, there are chances that it may not, or there is a problem with the principles of management is like as it is behavioral in nature. Yes, as it is behavioral in nature, it may not hold good or it may not work in the same manner in each and every business organization. It may not work in the same manner or it may not give a same result for each and every business organization. So what I can say is like the people who are working in the business organization, they have different behaviors. ಅವರ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್ಸ್ ಒಬ್ಬರಿಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಒಬ್ಬರಿಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಇರುವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಒಬ್ಬ ಏನು ಥಿಂಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಅಥವಾ ಒಬ್ಬ ಹೇಗೆ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ತಕ್ಕಂತೆ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬ ಅಥವಾ ಅದೇ ಥರ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಒಬ್ಬನ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್ಗೂ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬನ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್ಗೂ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಏನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅವರ ಥಾಟ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಐಡಿಯಾಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಐಡಿಯಾಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅದೇನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಮತ್ತು ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸಸ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಯುಟಿಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸಸ್ ಟೋಟಲಿ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So it says that the principles enable a better understanding of relation between human and material resource in accomplishing the organizational purpose. Okay, this next one is cause and effect relationship. So I told you about cause and effect relationship. So what you do is like you find out, yes, you find out you find out the cause and effect. So principles of management is totally based on cause and effect. So what is a cause or what is the problem available with the business organization, and the implementation of the principles of principles into the business organization, and finally the solution or the effect after implementation of this. The principles of management are intended to establish relationship between cause and effect. So that they can be used in similar situation in a large number of cases. Okay, so they tell us if a particular principle was applied in a particular situation, what would be its likely effect. Like I told you, if a particular principle is used, or what is the cause, or what is the implication, and what is the effect. So ಇಂಥ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿದೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸನ್ನು ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಅದರ ಔಟ್ಕಮ್ ಅಥವಾ ಅದು ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಏನು ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಕಾಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ರಿಲೇಷನ್ಶಿಪ್ಪಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಂಟಿಂಜೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಸೇಸ್ ದಟ್ the application of principles of management is totally contingent. Yes, it depends on the prevailing situation at particular point of time. It depends upon the prevailing situation at a particular point of time. Okay, so the application of principles of management, or application of principles in the management, has to be changed as per the requirement of the organization, has to be changed according to the requirement of the organization. So as it is contingent, you cannot say that the principles of management will not work in the same manner in each and every business organization. So ಏನಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ these can be changed as per the requirements. So the management principles are not absolute. They are not absolute. So as they are not absolute, these cannot be applied blindly in all situations in the organization. ಯಾವುದೇ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬ್ಲೈಂಡ್ ಆಗಿ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬ್ಲೈಂಡ್ ಆಗಿ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನಲ್ಲೂ ಅದು ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ದೇ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಗಿವ್ ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್ ಆಲ್ ದಿ ಟೈಮ್. ಎಸ್, ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಬಿ ವೆರಿ ಕೇರ್ಫುಲ್ while you use certain principles in the organization. They are not absolute, so they cannot be applied blindly in all the situations of the management or organization equally. Okay, so we'll move on to the next concept we discussed was significance of principles of management. Under significance of principles of management, the first one was providing managers with useful insights into reality. Providing managers with useful insights into reality. So here we discussed or we learned about the real world situation. Yes, okay, the real world situation. So when the person adheres to the principles, then it adds to his knowledge, ability and understanding. Okay, so it will also enable the manager to learn from past mistakes and conserve time by solving recurring problems quickly. So when he learns from his past mistakes, ಪಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ಸಿಂದ ಯಾವಾಗ ಅವ್ನು ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೋತಾನೆ ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಆ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ಸನ್ನು ರೆಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ವೆನ್ ದ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ಸ್ ಗೆಟ್ಸ್ ರೆಡ್ಯೂಸ್ಡ್, ಇಟ್ ಕನ್ಸರ್ವ್ಸ್ ಟೈಮ್ and also those problems can be totally reduced. So the next one was optimum utilization of resources and effective administration. So under optimum utilization of optimum utilization of resources and effective administration, we learnt about how both human and material resources have to be used. So you all know that the human and material resources are limited. So as they are limited, they have to be put to optimum utilization. They have to be used to the fullest extent in the organization. The next one is scientific decision. So when coming to scientific decision, we learned that the decisions must be based on the facts. It should be thoughtful and justifiable in terms of the intended purpose. The decisions must be based on the facts. They have to be thoughtful and justifiable in terms of the intended purpose. So the decisions which are taken in the organization has to be timely, they have to be realistic and subject to measurement and evaluation. So management principles helps in thoughtful decision making. They emphasize the logic rather than blind faith. So management decisions taken on the basis of principles are free from bias and prejudices. Yeah. The next one is meeting changing environment requirements. So the principles are in the nature of general guidelines. They are in the nature of general guidelines. So what can we do is like we can modify according to the requirement. Okay, so the person who is a manager, what has to do is like he has to act according to the changes which takes place in the environment. So environmental ಏನು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, environmental changes ನಾವು ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಅಡಾಪ್ಟ್ ಆಗಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. We will have to adapt ourselves to the changes which is taking place in the environment. So management principles are totally flexible to adapt to dynamic ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಎನ್ವಿರಾನ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ ಏನು ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಥವಾ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಎನ್ವಿರಾನ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಅಡಾಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ರೆಡಿ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಓಕೆ, ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ ಇಸ್ ಫುಲ್ಫಿಲ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸಿಬಿಲಿಟಿ. ವೆನ್ ಕಮಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಫುಲ್ಫಿಲ್ಲಿಂಗ್ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸಿಬಿಲಿಟಿ, ಐ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಯು ದಟ್ the business organization will have to carry out certain amount of social responsibility. They have to fulfill their social responsibility. They have to cater to the demands of the society. They have to cater to the demands or the requirement of the stakeholders. Okay, the next one was management training education and research. So when coming to management training education and research, so like I told you, the evolution or the introduction of these management principles or after the industrial revolution, these management principles were brought into existence. So nowadays it's like the people in the organization are selected on the basis of the education. Yes, they are provided with certain training in order to make them efficient. Yeah, they have provided they are provided with certain management training. Research are made on the basis of this. So like I told you, I had given an example to you, like ಯಾವಾಗ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಎಂಥದ್ದು ಓದ್ತೀವಿ, ಅಲ್ಲೇನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ವಿ ಲರ್ನ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್. ಎಸ್, ಸೊ ನೀವು ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ಗೆ ಸೇರಬೇಕು ಅಂದರು ಅಲ್ಲೇನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಆಟಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ which has to be done by the which will be done by the organization in order to check your aptitude level or in order to check your potential level. Okay, so the next concept was Taylor's scientific management. So under Taylor's scientific management we learned about his principles. They are science not rule of thumb, harmony not discord, cooperation not individualism, and development of each and every person to his greatest efficiency and prosperity. So when coming to science not rule of thumb, so Taylor said that there is one best method to maximize efficiency in the organization. There is one best method to maximize efficiency in the organization. So his perspective was that the rule of thumb in the organization will not work in a proper manner. So everything has to be done scientifically. There has to be scientific movement of things in the organization, which in turn will increase the human efficiency, and wastage of material and time can be totally reduced. So the next point was harmony not discord. So under harmony not discord, it says that there has to be a good relation between the workers and the management, that is workers and the owners of the organization. So manager work as a link between the workers and the owners of the organization. Okay, so there has to be a harmonious relationship. So the conflict that may arise in the organization should be totally reduced. So both should understand that they are useful to the other one, or they are very important to the other one. That is, both should realize that each one is important to the other one. Okay, so the next concept was cooperation not individualism. So under cooperation not individualism, Taylor says that there has to be proper coordination between the employee in the organization. Harmony should be the main concept of the organization. There has to be harmonious relation between the management and the workers. So competition should be totally replaced by cooperation. So one employee in the organization will have to cooperate with the other, or the owners of the organization will have to cooperate with the workers, and workers in the organization will have to cooperate with the owners of the organization. So How, in the sense, the management should not close its ears for the constructive suggestions given by the employee. In the same way, what management has to do is like it will have to listen to those suggestive suggestive or suggestions, and it will have to provide proper reward for those suggestions which are provided. Okay, in the same way, the workers also they should stop going first on strike, and they should work in order to reach the organizational objective. The next one was development of each and every person to his greatest efficiency and prosperity. So here it says that each and every employee in the organization will have to be trained in a proper manner. So the workers training is essential to learn the best method, like how Taylor said. He said that there is best way to do each and every work. So those or that particular in order to know that particular best way, the employee in the organization will have to be trained very well. So the next concept was techniques of scientific management. Under that, we learned functional foremanship, standardization and simplification, method study, motion study, time study, fatigue study. So first one was functional foremanship. So Taylor came into a conclusion that each and every work in the organization will not be or will cannot be done by one single person, or he found no person with all the quality. So what it did is the work was divided into different people. So what it did is like he divided the factory manager into two. One is the planning in charge, and the other one is production in charge. So under planning in charge, you add instruction card clerk, route clerk, time clerk, and disciplinarian. Under production in charge, speed boss, gang boss, repair boss, and inspector. So the work of the instruction card clerk was to draft instruction for the worker. The work of a route clerk is to specify a specific route of production. The work of time and cost clerk was to prepare a time and cost sheet, and the work of disciplinarian is to ensure discipline. Okay, so when coming to the production in charge, the work of a speed boss is to finish the time within the respective time, that is timely and accurate completion of job. The work of gang boss was to keep machines and tools ready for work. Yes, the work of repair boss was to see that the work or the machines in the organization are ready for working, and to and to ensure proper working condition of the machines in the organization. And the work of inspector is to check for the quality of work in the organization. Okay, the next concept was standardization and simplification. So when coming to standardization refers to the process of setting standards for every business activity. So when coming to simplification, it is nothing but eliminating superfluous varieties and sizes and dimensions in the work of the organization. Or it can be said that simplification aims at eliminating unnecessary diversity of products. So the next concept was method study. So there is Taylor said, there is a best way or best method to finish each and every work in the organization. So the best method among different methods will have to be selected. So what happens right from the procurement of raw materials till the final products are delivered to the customer, every activity is a part of method study. So what you have to do is like you have to find out that one best method to do a particular job. Okay, so the next second one was motion study. So under motion study, so what Taylor did is he tried to reduce the movements which are unnecessary or unproductive in the organization. So I had given an example. F.W. Taylor and his friend or his associate Frank Gilbert reduced the step of bricklayering from 18 to 5 steps. So next one was a time study. So under time study, we learned about how the time in the organization can be what saved. Okay, so when an employee in the organization is given with one particular job, yes, he is given with a standard time. Yes, he is given with the standard time, and the work of an employee is to reach that particular target which is given to him in that particular or within that particular standard time which is given to him. ಅವನಿಗೆ ಏನು ಟೈಮ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅದರ ಟೈಮ್ ಒಳಗೆ ಅವನೇನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅವನ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನು ಮುಗಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, the next one was fatigue study. Under fatigue study, it says that each and every employee in the organization will have to be given some amount of intervals in order to regain the stamina so that they can work in a effective manner. The next one was differential piece rate system. Under differential piece rate system, it says that the employee who is efficient in the organization will be given with extra increment or incentives. The one who is less efficient in the organization will be given with less amount of wages according to their working. So this difference will motivate the less efficient employee to work efficiently in the organization. So the next we'll go to Fayol's principles of management. Under Fayol's principles of management, we have learnt about division of work. So division of work says that each and every work in the organization will have to be divided. Yes, so when a particular work is divided into different parts, then it becomes easy to reach the target very easily. So the next one was authority and responsibility. Under authority and responsibility, it says that there has to be proper authority and responsibility in the organization. So the authority without responsibility will lead to the misuse of power, and responsibility without authority will lead to slaverism. So the next one was discipline. Under discipline, it says that there has to be a good working relationship or good relationship with others in the organization. The employee in the organization will have to maintain discipline in each and every manner in the organization. So what he has to do is like, you will have to carry out or you will have to abide by the rules of the organization and employment agreement. Yes, you will have to follow the rules and regulations. You will have to perform his duties with honest and interest, etc. So the next one is unity of command. Under unity of command, they say that there has to be one boss for every individual employee in the organization. So if there are two or more superiors in the organization, then there are chances that the unity of command is violated. So when coming to unity of direction, it says that each group should be led by one leader. Yes, each group should be led by one leader. So it ensures unity of action and coordination. So there should be no more than one leader for a group of employee in the organization. The next one was subordination of individual interest to general interest. So each and every individual employee in the organization will have certain individual interest of his own, but what he has to do is like, will have to concentrate more on the organizational interest and then is individual interest. The next one is remuneration of employee. So employee in the organization will have to be provided with proper remuneration. So the remuneration which is paid to him should be enough for him to lead a minimum standard of living. Yes, and also the amount or remuneration which is paid by the organization should be within the paying capacity of the organization. Yeah, the next one is centralization and decentralization. Under centralization and decentralization, it's like the decision making power in the hands of one of you is centralization, and dispersion of the decision making power among more person is decentralization. So Fayol says that both decentralization and centralization is very important for the organization according to its requirement. So ಹೇಗೆ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅರೈಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ತಕ್ಕಂತೆ ಡಿಸೆಂಟ್ರಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಅಥವಾ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲೈಸೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಸ್ಕೇಲಾರ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್, ವೆನ್ ಕಮಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಸ್ಕೇಲಾರ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಫಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಲೈನ್ of authority from highest to lowest rank. So it is a formal line of authority from highest rank to lowest rank. So there is a what line of command. So this line of command can be violated during emergency, and this process of violating is called as gang plank. It is a shortest route or shorter route in the scalar chain which allows employee at the same level to communicate with each other directly. The next one is order. So under order it says that the men, material and mission, each and everything in the organization has to be kept in its own place. That is, there is a place for everything and everything must be in its place. If there is a fixed place for everything, then what happens is like the hindrances of activities or hindrances in the activities can be reduced to a great extent. Okay, the next one was equity. So it says that there has to be equality among the workers in the organization. Yes, there has to be equality, so there should be no discrimination against anyone on account of caste, religion, region, language, belief, nationality, etc. Okay, the next one is stability of personnel. So the employee turnover in the organization will have to be minimized in order to maintain organizational efficiency. So they should be given, that is the employee in the organization should be given reasonable time to show their result. It should be kept in the organization for a minimum fixed period so that it will be possible for him to provide good results to the organization. So he should be paid proper or attractive remuneration and incentive. So it should be provided recognition in the organization, and also it should be provided with employment security. The 13th one was initiative. So when coming to initiative, the employees in the organization should take their own initiative. So initiative refers to steps taken by employee towards their self motivation. So the employee in the organization will have to take initiative and work in the organization. So the employee in the organization will have to be given with some amount of freedom in order to take their decisions which are productive in the organization. The last one is spirit de corps, that is spirit of cooperation. So management, what it has to do is like management should take necessary steps to promote team spirit among the employee in the organization. So it has to develop a mentality of one family member. So the concept of I will have to be replaced with the concept of we. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೆ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲಿಸಮ್ ಇರಬಾರ್ದು. Yes, coordination and cooperation has to be the main concept of the organization. So all these are the concepts which we studied under the concept or chapter principles of management.